Well, the other big story, just what is the latest situation in the Maldives? The island neighbor in the Indian Ocean has plunged into political crisis after the president announced a state of emergency for 15 days after the country's top court asked for the release of political opponents. That order was superseded. The Chief Justice is under suspension and arrest. The political opponents still in jail. India has said that it's watching the situation very closely, as is China, which has made significant inroads into the country over the last few years, even though traditionally India has been closer to the Maldives. And joining us to talk a little bit more about the situation currently in the Maldives is Mohamed Shainee, who is a cabinet minister, also the co-chair of the all-party talks, which are something that the president has offered as well. Mr. Shainee, thank you very much for talking to us this morning. What is the current situation as of today in the Maldives, and has the emergency in any way been revoked?
Yes, thank you for having me. The situation in the Maldives is as usual, the normal daily routine happening. It's a very nice shiny day here. Nothing you feel on the street that there is anything of what the media has been reporting is happening in the country. Because when the state of emergency was declared, it was only declared on certain areas in order for the government institutions to run and to look into the issues that came up to that point. Actually, before the state of emergency, we had a crisis. We have a situation where there was a judicial tyranny in the country, where some of the Supreme Court judges, and as you know now, those have been arrested, and also Judicial Service Commission have suspended them, and police services have released a number of evidences against them, and we are investigating the issue. So these few people try to bring all the powers into their hand and kind of deadlock the whole country functioning as a whole. Right. So that was the situation.
Right. So you're saying that things are normal, yet the emergency is still in place. The Chief Justice and the other judge are still under arrest, as are the political opponents. You have elections coming in October, and you are also the co-chair of the all-party talks. How does this pan out? The fact that many political opponents, big faces, are still in jail.
Yes, they were in jail. There is no new opposition leader, as you might call it, with new charges. I mean, apart from ex-president Mamoon, who is alleged for bribing these judges and other parliament members to create this scenario in the first place. So otherwise, those opposition leaders that you cite, I mean, nothing has happened to them at all. So yes, the situation is under control, and we are looking into it. And since the state of emergency, we have actually revised twice the state of emergency to relieve some of those suspended articles in the Constitution. And President is not putting any additional or unnecessary powers into hand. It's only on those areas and those people who are conspired to this bribery and the situation that we have in its unfolding.
Mr. Shainee, what about the freedom of the press? Are media channels working? Just a couple of days ago, there were reports of 2 AFP journalists who had been arrested and were to be deported. What is the status on that? Have they been deported back? And are television channels now airing in the Maldives?
Yes, all the channels are functioning, and for about 48 hours ago, one of the very inflammatory channel stopped themselves, but now they started broadcasting after 48 hours. All the channels, as you might know, per capita wise, Maldives is one of the countries where we have a lot of channels. They are all airing, and there is no way being restricted to broadcast. And with regard to the AFP news agents that you just cited, yes, they were acting illegally in the country against the immigration laws under tourism visas. So they were caught, and then they were asked to leave the country because they are not supposed to work in the country without a proper visa.
Right.
As any country would do, you have to file you have the proper procedures to follow before you can the Maldives.
Right. But Mr. Shainee, I want to step away a little bit with what's happening within the Maldives. And, everybody is watching the situation very closely in the Maldives, particularly here in India and in China, as well as the rest of the international community. The expectation is, and the sense is, that democratic institutions have been superseded. The rule of law has been, sort of undermined. What is the message that you would like to give to the international community? Because the fact is that judges are still under arrest. Your political opponents, most of them are under arrest, and you have elections in October. So it doesn't seem like the situation is back to normal.
I would ask international community to look into the facts. Yes, there are allegations against two Supreme Court justices, including the Chief Justice, and it's not without the facts, and it's not without evidence. And we have already, the police services have already given out to the public and to the international media as well. So it's not unduly putting forces to arrest everyone that is opponent. And some of the opponents that you cite, they were never opponents before they committed a crime. So you might look into the facts and actually look into who are these opponents. I mean, President Nasheed, he was convicted during the current regime, but before, his cases were filed before this presidency as well. So I think the message to the international community is that please have a look at the facts and look into what has happened in the Maldives. And we have shown in the past as well that these kind of issues we have sorted out ourselves, and we have the capacity to sort it out. And we are grateful that the international community is watching, and India is our closest neighbor. India should be concerned, but India should allow us to function independently and sort these issues ourselves. I mean, China has a lot of interest in the Maldives in terms of their projects in the Maldives, development projects, and we should be watching as well. Like other countries where we have a lot of investments from various other countries.
Mr. Shainee, you've reached out to India, but there are indications here that the government here is very clear that democratic institutions have been undermined. There were also reports that some, like the ex-president, asked for military intervention. There were also reports that that was something the government could have been considering. When I was speaking to you earlier, you said that you want a more proactive role by India. But what do you really mean by a proactive role? The fact is that many countries make their stand very clear that unless the rule of law is respected in the country, that is not a possibility.
Yeah, rule of law is respected in the country, and that is the reason why we are in this situation in the beginning. Because if you look into what happened with the Supreme Court, they took all the powers, constitutional powers, onto themselves, and they protected themselves from any investigation. They suspended the Judicial Service Commission. They put on themselves the powers to elect a judge, which is enshrined into the parliament under the constitution. So this required that the president try in his best to try and resolve the issues through dialogue. Try to see an audience with the Supreme Court judge, Chief Justice, but did not give an audience to the Prosecutor General or the Attorney General, which is unheard in any place. So this is only limited to those who are alleged to be in a bribery case and corruption cases. And millions of dollars have been found. Police services have revealed these evidences to the public. So this is the situation where the Supreme Court tried to bring a coup to the country through the judiciary. And then,
I get your point, Mr. Shainee. So you're saying basically this was a coup that was being organized by political opponents, and you are reaching out to your allies in the rest of the world. Thanks very much, Mohamed Shainee, for talking to us this morning.